preserved my youth. Not only did it capture my goals, it told me the truth.
Conversate for a few, cause it a few.
I let them know we missing you. The love is unconditional.
Wave your hands across the land if we family.
We got a world premiere right here, now get lost.
So off we go, let the trumpets blow. And hold on, because the driver of the mission is a pro.
Yes, absolutely. And we're talking about how you feel how you used to feel when you see a black person in position. And this young man, being shot because he's seeing a white person in position. I feel like there's that same sentiment going on with the issuing of that law. Because imagine how these people who've been in power for centuries, since the formation of this country legally, because it was here before, there were people here, but just the legal formation according to the laws of the land that they created.
Right.
They've always been in power, they've always been in control. So now they're in Atlanta, they're in Henry County, and they're like, they want something done. They got to go and see Madam Chairwoman, who's a black woman. Every metro Atlanta county right now has a chairperson who is a black woman. That has never happened before until very recently. So, they probably have that same type culture shock. The only difference is they've shown that they have the power to try to change that. But I honestly, even if now there are some groups right now who are fighting that, who gotta fight it through the courts, but I don't think that it would change anything. I really don't.
You don't think that fighting it would change anything, or do you think the new
I don't
law?
think the law would, because we would have, because think about it. The law is saying what can be said on the ballot. It's not saying what the people can say. It's not saying what the party can say. We can absolutely tell people, hey, this is a Republican. This is a Democrat.
Yeah.
There's nothing stopping us from saying that. We have people all the time who party switch to run for office when when the party that's in the majority is not their party. Right there in Rockdale County, there was Oz Nesbitt, who was a black male Democrat, who was the chairman of the board of commissioners there. He was unseated by a white woman who is a Republican who claims to be a Democrat and ran on a Democratic ticket and won. So I don't think that people knew she was a Republican until too late. Some people knew, but everybody didn't know. But knowing that that type of thing can happen, all we have to do is shout it from the rooftops.
Well, I think
All we have to do is get the word out.
I think that speaks to we talked about it on my other show, man.
Voter education.
Voter education and
Mm-hmm.
making sure that the voting community, the voters, are informed, because that's
Right.
what they want, right? They don't want informed voters.
That's
They
right.
want to have this democratic, authoritarian government that only really
Mm-hmm.
works when people aren't informed. When you look
Right.
at MAGA, and that's who I really had a problem with. Like
Yeah, I don't have a problem with
you can
Republicans.
be
I have a
Republican.
problem with MAGA. Exactly.
Yeah, if you MAGA, F off 100%. I'm gonna stop. I'm not gonna curse.
Remember to being Republican,
Because I got the commissioner.
libertarian. Yeah.
I ain't gonna cuss because I got the commissioner on here. I will correct myself. But if you MAGA, I don't want nothing to do with you. Now I know people that voted for Trump the first time, black people,
Mm-hmm.
and I gave them the side eye, but I slightly understood because they were allowed. But if you voted for him the second time, nah, I don't have nothing to do with you. And the other
I
people
agree.
too. Not only do I not fool with MAGA, I don't fool with people who said my vote doesn't matter and who didn't get out to vote. 'Cause you were just
Yes.
listed as those MAGA folks. So
Mm-hmm.
I voted in our Democratic primary runoff yesterday. I live in Dallas, and my precinct is in what they call the neighborhood. It's a
Yeah.
real famous bar district with gay bars there.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people that live there happen to be LGBTQ, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when I pulled up, there's this young man there. He gave me a handbill. He said, "Hey, here are all the candidates that are
Mm-hmm.
LGBTQ friendly." And it's that type of education that needs to be done. And I don't understand how the Democratic leadership isn't on that. How come our leaders aren't able to say, okay, listen, we got to let people know what is what? What do you think that we could do from your perspective?
Okay, so here's the thing. Democratic leadership doesn't need to be the one saying that. Because if it's a primary, they have to stay neutral. And then once we choose a nominee, it's only one. So of course they're backing that one. You get what I'm saying? So they can't necessarily say, hey, this is the gay friendly candidate or the black friendly candidate. That is where our um, partner organizations come in. They should be able to say those things. Or that's where community leaders and activists come in. They should be able to say those things. But they need to make sure that they're well informed on who's on the ballot. A website does not tell you who that person is.
Mhm.
Go find out, do some digging, have some conversations. I actually just put up a Facebook post yesterday because I was in a dilemma. I don't, well, at the time, I did not know who to support for lieutenant governor of Georgia
Mhm.
because the person I supported is not in the runoff. So I did a simple post like, hey, who you got? This one or that one? And when I tell you so much information started coming in about not only personalities, work ethic, work habits, and a lot of the information that came were firsthand accounts. So if you just ask about people, ask the people who know. Um, I try to do a lot in my community as far as letting my constituents, my family, and friends know the people on the ballot because I am fortunate to be in a situation where I get to know a lot of these people on a very personal basis. And, the average person doesn't get to do that. When I
Yeah.
made this Facebook post, within like, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes, I was actually on the phone with one of the lieutenant gubernatorial candidates.
Right.
And, I invited him to come on my post and he came on, and I realized it's not everybody's experience. So because it's my experience, if you know me, talk to me. If that's somebody else's experience, talk to them. Talk to the people who know these people. Don't just go, oh, I'm black, she's black. I'm a woman, she's a woman. So let me vote for her. Or I'm gay, he's gay. Let me vote for him. Get to know these candidates because just because you share an identity doesn't always mean that you share the same values or that you share the same work ethic or
And
that you share the same priorities. Get to know these people because I do think that sometimes identity politics can be the death of us.
what do you mean by that?
Well, because would you say that now? Okay, I want to say this before I'm anything else in the world, I am black. And that is simply because I have a black mama and a black daddy. So when they decided to be very kind to each other one night and create me,
Hmm.
the only thing guaranteed about my identity is that I would be black.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's who I am first. That's the only guaranteed portion of me, that came out of this situation. So, and I'm very proud to be black. I don't hide it. I'm not afraid to say it. I'm not afraid to advocate for it. None of that stuff. But I've got to look beyond black when it comes to how I'm voting or what I'm suggesting. Clarence Thomas is black. Is he somebody I would support?
Tim Scott.
No.
Tim Scott is black.
Right. You see what I'm saying? So just because someone has your same race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, or whatever, doesn't mean that that's who you vote for. I would never vote for Candace Owens.
Right. Yeah.
So we got to get past that.
And we got a mayor here in Dallas, Eric Johnson.
Hmm.
4 months after being elected as a Democrat, he said he was switching to the Republican Party.
Hmm.
You see how they do? You see how they do?
Yeah,
And it's the old saying, all skin folk ain't kin folk.
that's right.
And you're right. It may not be incumbent on the actual candidates. But I think one of the things that the Republicans and MAGA do well is that they know how to come up with a message, make it simple and plain, and to be able to get their voting bloc to go out and vote. Now it's easy for them
Mhm.
because again, they have one main issue that will always be an issue for them: white supremacy. Now, I think the other thing too is that Democrats operate more like a coalition,
Yes, the
whereas
big tent.
whereas Republicans are a
Mhm.
united front. So you
Mhm.
got, hey, listen, well, what are you going to do for the Black community? What are you going to do for the Hispanics? What are you going to do for the LGBTQ, right? And even in the LGBTQ, a matter of fact, the young man that I talked to yesterday, he said LGBTQ because some of them don't even want to associate with the trans community. So there's all
Yeah,
this sometimes infighting when instead of saying, hey, listen, we need to just be united and to be able to root these people out that want to have control and have this white Christian national government where people like us don't matter.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and one of the things that you talked about speaking to a young man that came from Atlanta that was had culture
Mhm.
shock when he got to your area. One of the things
Mhm.
that I think we really need to do is to get these young people together. And I'm very, very concerned about it because a lot of them, including my children, I got young adults, they receive their information from TikTok. So,
Yes.
because if it's on TikTok and somebody puts some eerie music behind it, right, then it must be true,
Mhm.
right? But there's no
Yeah.
fact-based research. There's nothing going along. And one of the things that burned me up was one of the young men in my life said, Republican, Democrat, they're both the same. They're all politicians. None of them are no good. And
Right.
this attack on our right to elect officials that represent us came about, I made sure and I messaged him. I said, are they still the same? Because
That's right.
he was like, Kamala and Trump, they're the same. No, they are not. And it's such an unintelligent thing to say. So in your
It
opinion,
is.
how do we reach them without being because they're a different generation. Like
They are.
we came from those people, we came from people who realized that we all we got.
Mhm.
We came from people that fought for our rights. And
Yeah.
they are more of an entitled generation, but we need them. So, in your opinion, how do we reach out to them to get them motivated to vote?
First of all, we have to listen to them. We have to listen to them. And when I say listen, we need to listen for understanding and not listen to correct because they are also they're not big on correction.
At
You're
all.
gonna do nothing. Yeah, you're gonna do nothing but push them away. So we have to listen to them and see what things are important to them. Craft messages around some of the things that are important to them. And like right now, they're concerned about things like they can't afford a house. You have people in their 30s who are like, by the time my parents were this age, they've been paying for their house for 5 years. And I can't even save up for the 10% down or the 3% down. So we've got to listen to them about the things that are important to them and also come up with policies and craft messages around the things that are important to them. Also give them a seat at the table. I'm not saying they all have to be things like mayors or anything, but there are a lot of civic boards that could use their input. Put those young folks on the rec board. Put one of them on planning and zoning. Let them understand, how decisions are made. Let them understand land use. Because, that same crowd could be like, you know what? I'm mad because I tried to open a vape shop and they wouldn't let me open the vape shop. Yeah, you're right next. On one side of you is a preschool, and the other side of you is a church. Of course, they're not going to let you do it. But if you understand land use, you'll know that you can't open this up. So put them in a position to learn things, be exposed to government and how things work.